Well, I hope everyone enjoyed their visit with the people at their table at lunch, and a lot of good discussion around the table about the topics that were introduced to us this morning. My name is Bruce Stover. I'm on the planning committee. I've been on the board for the Energy Institute since it started. As a matter of fact, I was its first chairman when we got started. How many years ago, the Panker? 6, 7. This was a dream of ours to be hosting events like this, and thanks to friends that we have in the business like JAStanislaw, we've been able to pull this off each year with increasing effectiveness. Mike, you've just done a superb job this year leading us and putting this together. The speakers that have joined us today are extraordinary. I want to introduce JAStanislaw. Joe, this is the third time we've had him back here, and we're just very honored to have him back again. He'll have to tell you why he keeps coming back here. Last year it was the draw of going to the NCAA tournament, basketball tournament in Dallas. There's probably more than that, right, Joe? But Joe and I have known each other a long time. In my working career, I was with Anadarko Petroleum, and I was put in charge of the getting the company into Algeria back in the mid-'80s. They just changed their petroleum law, and I'd heard about Sarah, Cambridge Energy Research Associates, and so I went to visit them in Boston, just across the street from Harvard Yard, and met he and Dan and their slim team, meeting in a little house across from Harvard Yard. They had one fax machine with that curly paper that we used to have, you know. I mean, it was like one fax machine, one printer, and it was really quite something to kind of see where they've gone. But they were extraordinary in helping us do a study of the political risk and commercial risk in getting involved in Algeria. So I got to know him then. Paths went different ways, but I reconnected with him several years ago, not long after I retired. And Joe's just been a great friend to me personally. The thing I love about him, you can read about his resume in the booklet. The thing I love about him, he's a Renaissance man. I mean, there's very few of them around, but he's always thinking. He's always challenged by new thinking. He's passionate about energy on a global scale. He's lived abroad, traveled abroad. He's seen the issues that we deal with in an increasingly interconnected world, and that includes global markets for energy. Joe has a heart for a sustainable world, both on the climate point of view and economic point of view, eradicating poverty. So he is truly a Renaissance man. It's my pleasure to introduce JAStanislaw.
Thank you very much, Bruce. It really is an honor to be here. I spent 26 years of my life straight in Europe. My wife has a lot of English cousins, and they have an expression. Dead fish and family visitors for 3 days smell. And you should always leave the house after 3 days. And this is my third visit. I think it's actually my fourth visit here, actually. If I'm not mistaken, my fourth, I think. I keep saying, why do you ask me back? And I don't get an answer other than maybe Joe is available. I don't know what the real answer is. But I get the biggest compliment last night, though, with Jay right here. You were the chairman of the board for a while, weren't you, or something? And he said, Joe, I'm so glad you're back because you're my wife's favorite speaker. And I think that's important, actually. And I think what we're hearing today, we're talking to the wrong audience. We should be talking to all those wives and those husbands who aren't here, not in the business. We should be talking to all those people in Ohio who aren't in the business. We're talking to ourselves a lot. And I think what I'm hearing is a new dynamic in that conversation, which I think is very welcome. But we're missing a lot by whom we are not speaking to, basically. I'm going to go backwards a little bit, and I always say I'm very James Joycean. I'll give you, here's my conclusion, here's my structured argument, my conclusion again. I actually wrote out about 10 pages, and I've actually just ripped it apart by hearing all the conversation this morning. I brought with me my notes from my very first talk here in 2014, April 10th, and I have my notes, and they still stand pretty well. I may read some of those comments to you then, where I actually structured the market for you, the fact that we're resource abundant, the world has changed. My title of my talk was, The World Turned Upside Down, Back to the Future. Full steam ahead, but with a license to operate. I'm going to say we've done a lot. You in Oklahoma, revolutionary. There'll be no world oil and gas industry like it is today without you here. And I'm an oil and gas guy. When I sold Sierra with my partners, I left. I didn't want to be an employee of the company which I helped found and start and run. So I spent a year and a half. I wasn't allowed to work. My family, 3 children and my wife, we did a study of me. What does Dad want to do when he grows up? And I said, I want to continue my passion. By the way, I now learned I am a millennial. You know that? Did you hear that comment today? Millennials are different because they have a passion for what they do, make a better world. I've always felt that from the day I was born. So I am thrilled to tell you I am a millennial and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of the fact my kids are too. My wife is too. I've never felt like I've worked a day in my life. I've been so passionate about energy, going back to the 1970s when I got into it, that we can make a better world for everyone in that world. And you can't do that without energy, because it's clean water, it's food, it's healthcare, you name it, it's it. I am terribly passionate about it. I almost cry before I step and talk. I get so riled up about talk about it. But I'm passionate, so I'm a millennial. Now, the study we did is, what does Dad want to do when he grows up? Who do I want to work with? Do I want to build another company? I said no to another company. I want to work with people I really want to be involved with, who have the same values as me, basically, about what we want to do for the world. Right or wrong, we can disagree with how we want to get there, but I want to try and make a better world out there. And I know all of you do too. That's why I'm here, because I feel that when I'm here, that you really do want to make a difference, and you're going to make a difference, basically. But in doing that, I said, okay, I want to be a road, a bridge and a road to the future. Just a little old me. From the old world of oil, gas, and coal, to the new world of clean oil, clean gas, clean coal, new and renewables, and those little termites in the room, efficiency. The most powerful energy source we have in the world is what we don't use, basically. I want that to be the roadmap into the future. And it's all the above as we go forward. Now, here's some other comments today. We're not, green, this green thing. I was on the board of a company, a privately held company by one family called Good Energies, Inc. We were the largest investor in solar power in the world, bar any corporation, this one family. Okay? This is a very, very ethical family, a Catholic family. They don't like to be talked about as such. They're very sort of way below the radar screen. It's tremendous values. 20% of everything they make goes to benefiting poorer people before they take anything. Okay? They went into solar because I made a flippant remark to one of the cousins. This is a family that's been in business for 240 years. Now, not in solar. They were elsewhere in the business stream. When I got involved with one of the cousins, he wanted to leave the family business and go into what I call my world, the world of energy, and make a difference, basically, in doing that with his family. So he decided to go into clean energy. Now, clean energy has a dirty name out there. Because everyone thinks you don't make money at this. Well, this family made billions and billions in clean energy, basically. Now, there's this one little family. This goes back to early 2000s, mid-2000s. Why did they do it? To benefit poorer people, help the family portfolio, and to make money. So the comment made earlier on about green, that green thing, you don't do green things to be charitable. If you do it to be charitable, you're out of business. You do things to make money, basically. If you can't make money, you cannot solve the world's problems. Simple point. You got to make a profit. You make conscious decisions, and you have a conscience. But at the end of the day, you need to make money. And everything I'm involved in involved 2 private equity firms, high values we have. We have people invest in us, LPs. They ask what we're doing with our money. They care about impact. It's not a game. They really care. One group didn't want to come into one of the funds because we've invested in a water company that treats fracked water and does water from power plants in China and places like that because it deals with fracking. Well, what we've done in this little company that we invested in, it continuously recycles the water. You aren't trucking water in all the time. You're recycling it, cleaning it, recycling it. Think about that environmental footprint. Those trucks that get 2 miles a gallon going in and out moving water. This is continuous recycling. Huge impact. This one family still wouldn't invest because it dealt with fracking, which dealt with oil, which dealt with gas. There's no tomorrow without oil and gas. We heard that today, and we can say it for the next 20 or 30 years. But now I'm getting impatient. Although I'm a millennial, I'm a little bit older than most millennials, my hair is getting grayer. I want you to know, though, my family is Russian and Eastern European and Polish. Everyone in my family, the ones we know about, because they came over from over there, all went gray before 30. I didn't start till 55, so I outlasted the family. But, I'm a radical at heart. Absolute radical. I played basketball at Harvard. We went down to play a tournament in North Carolina. We played Duke the first round. We got off the plane. This is the days we got off. We walked down the stand, and we're walking off with the coach. And our lead press guy comes running over to the coach, and he shows him 5 newspapers. This is 1969. Okay, my hair is down to here. Can you see that? It's down to there. My hair. We have another guy who was a Polish guy. He had a big afro. We had, our center was a black guy, big afro. Our pictures on the front page of 5 newspapers. Is this the cast from Hair of the Harvard basketball team? Guess what we did? They took our bags to the hotel. Coach took us to the gym. We ran sprints for an hour. I said, what the hell did we do wrong? He said, you've embarrassed me. Well, we lost the game the next day, but we didn't embarrass them. The fans loved us. We never gave up. Duke was ranked in North Carolina, was in the top 10. We were playing them. We played Jacksonville, too. They were number 1 or 2. They destroyed us, but we never gave up for a second. Well, I was a long hair. My hair is not quite as long, but my mind's still there. We're not moving fast enough. I'm getting impatient. I first started talking about these things back in the late 80s. It wasn't called climate change then. It wasn't called sustainability. It's called doing the right thing, making more money, using resources efficiently. That's called Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, Basic Economics. I also want, the few students are here, but I think all of us are learning all the time. Every time I speak, I say, go read E.F. Schumacher, Small is Beautiful. Appropriate technology. Appropriate technology. There's no one answer. It's appropriate technology for where we're going. And then read someone else called Buckminster Fuller. Did you ever hear of Spaceship Earth? We have everything on this planet. If we use it properly and reuse it properly, we are self-sufficient as a planet. All the energy we produce, we've only used 30 or 35% of it. The rest is sitting out there someplace. We need to recapture that. We're not capturing that. We need to be smarter about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I'm getting impatient. When I first started talking about sustainability, when the language changed, rather than resource scarcity is about sustainability, which is a serious issue, basically. So I started writing about 15 years ago. And I said, we have 2 generations to move. We're halfway through 1 generation. We've done a lot, thank goodness for natural gas. But we have a lot more to do and a lot more speed with which we have to do it. And we have all the solutions at hand. You've heard all morning, we have all the solutions at hand. Are we doing them fast enough? Are we doing it creatively enough? We're going to go through a major, major market disruption and dislocation. That means unbelievable opportunity for all of you in this room. There will be more money spent in the next 1.5 generations to transform our system for an appropriate future for our planet and for our children and our grandchildren. More money that's been spent in the history of the human race in the next generation and a half. It's that big. I'm not just talking about oil and gas. We have to think about buildings. We have to think about cars. All kinds of things. There are opportunities. Now, I know here we've been talking about big answers and big solutions. But I'm more of a small is beautiful guy. I'm more of a guy who says, let's make decisions that help democracy move forward. And I made some notes here about what's going on here right now that scares me. Have you heard of the Extinction Rebellion? Have you heard of the Extinction Rebellion? It's been blocking London for days. group of people who say we're not moving fast enough. These are people who say, eat, they're worried about an old expression, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we shall all die. You know when that was said? In the plague, the Black Plague, in the Middle Ages. These people are frightened. They're not moving fast enough. We, the world in general, are not moving fast enough. People aren't taking it seriously enough. Have you heard of the sunrise movement in this room? Anybody hear of the sunrise movement? Boy, you folks need to start looking around, because this is going to impact what you do. The sunrise movement. Have you heard of the anti-fossil fuel brigade? Have you heard of that one? It's a big movement in Europe, folks. Anti-fossil fuel brigade. We're not paying attention. We're not paying attention. The Green New Deal, you've heard of that, haven't you? Green New Deal. Have you looked at the website for the Green New Deal? It is fantastic. A lot of it's wrong, but it's someone drawing figures and painting them in, like a little kid would do. Unbelievably powerful. Every drawing I saw, I had a complaint with it. But guess what they're doing? They're saying, we're being aspirational, and my generation, I'm pointing to me now, I'm no longer a millennial, I'm pointing to Bruce, we aren't doing enough. We screwed up. That's what they're saying. And basically saying, you in this room are not at the table. Now, is that tolerable that we're not at the table? And these folks are saying that, and they know how to use social media. I don't know how to use the web, actually. But they know how to use social media. That's pretty powerful. And we have to begin to counteract that. It's a challenge. There are PR people in this room. Boy, you have to help out. Now, part of my comment here is, I spoke to the IPAA a number of times. We have a keynote, I'm going to say, in 2009. I think the year was 2008. I can't find my notes. This is when something is happening through environmental legislation around natural gas production. They're trying to put new regulation on. And I'll tell you, the IPAA were fighting this like it's going out of style, fighting it. And I stood in front of 1,000 of these folks and I said, why are you fighting this? I said, you know, and I know, it's going to pass. You will deal with it, you'll solve the problem, and in 3 years your costs will be lower. Because the whole history of the oil and gas industry is just that. You throw a curveball at them, you don't like it, you fight it, regulations passed, you change your technology, your way of working, you solve it, and your costs go down. Why don't you just get credit for that? Why don't you just get credit for it rather than fight it? I said, why don't you just stop fighting right now? You had a leader here in town, Aubrey, who took that attitude. Bless him, he's not here. But why haven't we learned from that? Why are we fighting everything? We're keeping ourselves from being at the table, and we've got to be at that table. Because there's no solution without us at that table, basically. Now, think about that. Now, my long hair is back on. I don't know how long I'm going to be with all of you. I hope a long time. I hope to be here that next generation and a half. But we have to move above ground, not below ground. The risk is above ground, basically. And listen carefully again. Extinction Rebellion, blocking streets in London, trying to stop planes from landing in London. Anti-fossil fuel brigade. Sunrise movement. You haven't even heard of these things. You should know all about this. How to approach those people. And the Green New Deal, I think it's important to have aspirational goals right now. To say to people, it matters. It matters to each and every one of us out there how we make a decision. We should be, I go to elementary schools and talk. Little kids understand what we're talking about. And I don't want them to say, my generation has not solved tomorrow's problem. Now, I will not agree with anyone who says we created the problem. We got us to a state that we have never dreamed we'd be in before. The wealth that's been created in the world the past 50 years is phenomenal, phenomenal. We've taken more people out of poverty than one could ever imagine. There's still a lot of people in poverty, but they're still better off than they were. Their poverty level is relative, better off than they were. That's because of fossil fuel. Without it, this would never have happened. And we have to say we can do that again with clean oil, clean gas, and the new renewables, whatever they happen to be, the right ones at the right place. all to be decided by economics, by politics, and by society. But we have that potential, and we aren't addressing it aggressively enough and fast enough. And I say, I'm getting more and more impatient all the time. My daughter is into organic and local foods. Our younger son is studying in Paris, a master's degree in renewable sustainability. Our older son, who is very challenged, but he does cartoons about the environmental movement. They're passionate. I'm a millennial like my kids. They care about these things. But they also need, you have to make money and go forward, and we can do it. No one's going to invest in the company because it's green or because it's clean. You're going to invest in the company because you can say, you're making more money out of this. And if you don't care about the environment, it doesn't matter. You can make more money. That's all you care about. But the reality is, making more money means you use less resources, you're more efficient, you're more effective, and your values are there. Whether you want those values or not, you have them. It's a side effect. But you're doing it because you can make money too. Again, I'm a capitalist. If you can't make money, produce a surplus, you can't solve any problems. So what does sustainability really mean? It means staying in business. If you can't stay in business, whatever your bright idea is, you can't do anything with it. Did I use the phrase crazy technology entrepreneur yet? I love individual people. I call it the power of one. I've written about the power of one. Our generation, going back 20 years ago, is the first time in human history where every single individual on this planet can make a difference by their decisions. Every single individual can make a difference on the planet. That didn't exist 20 years ago. We're one great big place now. I will say with pride, I think of myself as a global citizen. Now, that's not very popular in the United States right now, but I think of myself as a global citizen. Yes, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm locally embedded into my country. But I want to be globally connected. That's how we solve problems. I am a global citizen. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the power of one that we all have if we make decisions we can do. Does it make a difference that I put a solar panel on or I put in better LED light bulbs? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It makes a difference. Challenge is, will we all make those decisions? What will drive those decisions as we go forward? But that power of one, boy, that's really big. That is really big. And people take it seriously. That was probably the comment about the millennials really care. Well, I really care too, and I know all of you care too, basically. But that's what we can do if we harness that form of energy. And that'll put us around the table so we can actually work together and work effectively together. Now, my son, our son, his second year of his program, he has to get a job. He has 3 choices for the first term of his second year. It's a 5-month term. Get a job in your field, write a thesis, or go to a sister university. He said, to hell with the sister university. He said, to hell with writing a thesis. He said, I'm going to get a job. Well, he had 2 jobs. One was a summer job and then a 5-month job. The summer job, he worked for a cathode electrolyte producing company, started by a Chinese American now and his wife, 34 years old and 33 years old, husband and wife. Unbelievable people, chemists. I think chemists are probably the best trained people in the world, actually, in all honesty. I'm an economist, so I'm not very well trained. But this couple have produced a cathode material. They all use the same stuff. It's how the magic sauce you put on it. And I'm the only person who's ever been in their magic sauce room they've let in, because they know I'm not smart enough to know what the hell they're doing, basically, okay? But their material is half the cost, twice as many charges, and twice the energy density. Powerful. They also have a solid state electrolyte. You cannot put it on fire. You can cut it, put a blowtorch to it. Doesn't go on fire. Remember the Tesla car that went on fire? Remember the batteries and whatever the phone company was, can't take them on planes? That's because they're liquid. This is solid state. This couple thinks they can help solve the world's problems. They really care. Really fantastic. Well, that was a summer job. 5 months, then he goes to Africa. Here's where it all comes into creativity. It's innovation. Business model. He joins a company in Ivory Coast. And they're also Uganda-based. They're now in 5 countries in Africa. 2 young people out of the IT business enter into the field of solar power. And I think IT is critical. It's probably the most powerful new form of energy we have. This couple come out of the IT business, want to say, we're going to bring solar power to people in rural areas of Africa. So what do? They copy a business model from Britain post-World War II. When no one had any money, with a central electricity generating board, nationalized power industry, would install right in your house 2 little bars across your fireplace, and have a little coin box within 2 pence, and you get half an hour of electricity across those little things producing heat. Well, this couple said, we know that no one uses money in Africa. They have all their accounts on their phone. So they went and said, we are going to install on your roof of your hut or the village community center solar panels for free. For free. We'll then put an outlet in your hut or the community house, whatever it's called. And if you want to have some electricity, don't forget, it's sunny all day long. Okay? If you want to have electricity, you hit your phone, you pay into our bank account with your phone, whatever it is. That goes to Paris, turns on your solar panel, and you have electricity. Solar power on demand. The company's making a lot of money. The state doesn't have to build a power plant. People have electricity, and the company makes money. That's called win-win-win. Now, Bruce and I didn't grow up in that model. I won and you lost, or you won and I lost. It's now 3 winners in this situation. That's step one. Halfway through his 5 months, he's sitting out in this little town in the middle of nowhere. A truck arrives with about 50 flat-screen TV sets, about that big. They said, go out to all those people who bought into our system, give them a free TV set. Now, why on earth would he give them a free TV set? Because this is a French-speaking country. It used to be a colony, sorry. French-speaking country. And everyone loves football. Not our football, but football, soccer. There's one French station, a cable channel, that has 24-hour-a-day football. Okay? Takes them out there. The TV set's free. All you got to do is subscribe to the cable program. You get a free TV set. And you also see for a month before the schedule, from the English Premier League to the Scottish League, all these leagues, every single game, hour of the day they're playing. So if you want to watch, Chelsea, it's on Saturday at 2, you punch in, I want my 2 hours right now to watch Chelsea play. So they're charging the marginal cost of electricity, and you're paying it happily because you don't have to worry about the capital cost. Everyone's happy. And so is the cable channel. Very, very happy. This is one heck of a model, don't you think? I think it's really quite creative that these young IT people, the people who created this company are 37 years old. My son's 29. He fell into a good thing. Give you another new model coming out there. Business models are critical to transform the world. And it's people outside our space. Outside our space. IT again, but advertising. There's a company in San Francisco, I can't remember the name. I know the legal counsel because he was in a law firm. He was my lawyer. He joined this firm. They actually will install in different locations chargers for electric cars. And you can charge your electric car for free at the charging stations. Now, how on earth can they do that? Well, at each charging station, they have a screen. And they sell advertising on that screen. So when you charge your car, you see this. I never look at these things, but apparently people do. You see advertising on the screen. Now, what they're doing is relationships. They've done this to about 15 Bank of America locations, where they have the Bank of America building there, about 20 charging stations, and on the screen when you're plugging in, it shows you all the new loans you can get for how much loans are, or how much you deposit your money, how much the interest rate is. It shows you all that stuff. And they're paying for the advertising. This company installs the charging station for free. What they're working on now, and they buy all the power. Now they're working on how to trade so they can buy that power at the lowest cost. Because if they're charging it in the middle of the afternoon, it's pretty expensive stuff. How you can do trading to offset the cost of that power and do that. But advertising is paying for the whole thing. And everyone's happy. They're doing this at a big mall in Boston, outside of Boston right now. Who would have thought of that model as an advertising IT model, basically? It's a software advertising model. Pretty profound. And what it says to you is, we're going to be even more resource abundant as we go forward. Think about the efficiency of that operation. Think about the efficiency of the operation in Africa. That model of Africa is now going to be taken to Southeast Asia right now, basically. And there are more models like this coming. We have to be ready for disruptions in our business model, how we buy and sell and acquire customers and work with customers and relationships with customers. At CIRA in the mid-90s, I wrote a piece called The Energy Company of the 21st Century. I was kind of winging it. And I wrote it because I love Star Wars. And in Star Wars, what's that great big ship, whatever it's called? Millennium Falcon. They never pay for their power. They're always charged up and off they go at the speed of light. And I basically in this paper said that I, the consumer, will probably have free energy at the end of the day. Because this is my model in the 90s, that the energy companies would give me clean energy that I wanted to have, and they ensure it was clean. And they work out some relationship where I could basically get it for free. I was really winging it at the time, obviously. But I said, that's the future. Now, you heard Bob Dudley say at CIRA Week last week, it's called something else now, I'm no longer involved, but Bob doesn't care what he sells. Just so he has you, the captive customer, to sell too. You can get a margin on it. That's the model. And this people with electric charging things, that's the model. At the end of the day, we may well not be paid for energy in the future. That's a profound thought. How are you going to make money at this? You can make money at it. It's how you trade, how you make sure it's clean, and how you do the arbitrage across these fuels, across the spreads. Tremendous new opportunities happening there that we're not getting our hands around because we're locked into making sure we can produce the stuff, which I admire and respect, and we're driving our costs down. And we'll continue to do that because the industry always has done that, which no one knows about, that we've always done that. And that's the future, telling what we do. Now, I'll just close with one comment and then turn to questions. I had the good fortune of hearing the Secretary's talk. It's on tape. Powerful talk. This man's career astounds me. I didn't realize until I heard the talk that he actually advised Eisenhower as well. I mean, that's phenomenal, what this man did in his life. I had the good fortune of being involved in a couple of projects with him. One was a major coal study that he, with a group of private individuals with the IEA to do. I was involved with the IEA at the time. What a man, and what a man with values. And every word he says reverberates in my head. He made one statement which I agree with, but I have a problem with. I said it with all respect, because I know he feels the same way I'm about to say it. He thinks we should have a carbon tax. Everyone agrees it's probably the most effective mechanism to work on climate change. I have a problem with carbon taxes. I have a problem today with carbon taxes. I agree with the economics that they're the best vehicle. But we have a population in this country, the average person has had a fall in their income for 2 decades. Now you're going to tell them their cost is going up? Not a good message. Now, he uses the term revenue neutral. No one understands revenue neutrality. No one understands it. It's the right concept, but we could try what British Columbia has done. British Columbia has one. And they, I charge you $10 for tax, and it goes from you to you. It's not being spent by the government any place. It goes from you to you. So you actually get the benefit. You can feel it. And if we want to have a carbon tax, I would pre-fund a budget of $500 million or something that says once you introduce it, once we know what you're using, we can give you money right away. We don't want to wait to get our money back to you to feel revenue neutral. We want you to feel the impacts of that right away. Because no one in this country trusts the government is going to be revenue neutral. You're going to get the money back. Do you trust them? I mean, right now, I didn't quote over there, but the distrust of government at its all-time high. So do we trust revenue neutrality? No, but there are ways of doing it that you can really feel it. Let's design our policies that way. I think we do not focus on the negative of what we want to do. We focus on the positive. The overwhelming majority of Americans, over 65%, like hearing about renewables, clean energy, addressing climate change. They all agree with that. Our politicians all don't, but no one wants to hear, I'm going to put your cost up. Now we know whatever we do, the cost might go up. Might go up. But given how we're driving energy surplus, do costs actually have to go up? It's the right time to drive solutions that may require subsidies or more subsidies. Because as prices are coming down, you can tack them on, and you won't feel it. You won't even notice it. So, but again, listen to him carefully, powerful words. I'm going to stop right there. As I said, I'm very James Joycean, no beginning, no end. I just ended. And how about some questions or comments from you? So I'll turn it over to all of you. And I hope I didn't stop you from asking questions. My grandmother wanted me to be a Russian Orthodox priest, just so you know that. No questions? Yes, sir. Why isn't your wife here is the most important question.
Yeah, she, of course, they couldn't make it today. She misses sick. Appreciate your wisdom. This conference is about the great energy disruption, and you touched on some issues. What do you see as the biggest disruption in the next decade or so in the energy space? Yeah, what do you see as the biggest disruptor in the energy space in the foreseeable future, the near future?
I think I touched on it. It's two things. One is the public situation. We're in a world where facts don't matter. I mean, wonderful presentation information, wonderful. No one believes it. They don't trust us. Let's be honest, they don't trust us. What matters is perception. And that's a powerful thing. That's probably the biggest dislocator and challenge for the industry. Second, I'm going to say is IT. IT combined with business models and technology is the real key. I think we're also in this room underestimating the speed of development of the renewable technologies. Seriously, I was on the board of this company. We're the biggest investor in solar power in the world as a family. We're investing $3 billion. That's a lot of money for a family. But we're investing in other things too, besides solar. Window technology we're investing in. Phenomenal we're investing in. What we saw that was investable is going to start hitting in 5-10 years in all sorts of areas. And that's what I call the termites in the building. You can see a big power plant coming on or not coming on. These are little things that add up to have tremendous impact. And when they dislocate big. I first spoke at the Oxford Energy Policy Club. There's only a group of oil folks in the mid-'80s, all throughout the '90s. I started saying in the late '90s, we will hit peak oil demand before we hit peak oil supply. I was poo-pooed by everybody. We may hit peak oil demand in 2025. What does that mean? There's a lot more ability to produce oil than there is to use oil. That's a dislocator. Tremendous dislocator for oil, a big dislocator. What does that mean? Yes, the growth in petrochemical use is going to go through the roof, but that's like that much. It's not very much demand, petrochemicals, highly profitable. But if you start dislocating because demand's going away faster than you think, either by electric cars, which I think it won't be, I think it'll be efficiency. Powerful thing. I used to ask the question in groups like yours, where was the biggest oil well found in North America in the late 1970s? People will say Prudhoe Bay. I said, no. It was Detroit, Michigan. And look, you're all dumbfounded, I'm sure. CAFE standards. It dropped the oil demand curve by 2 million barrels a day, almost overnight once it fully impacted. That's your comment about California. That could happen again, but more than 2 million barrels a day. It could be 3 or 4. That's a big number. That's a huge dislocator. And I think this demand curve is going to be hit more strongly by the mid-2020s than later. I think it's going to come earlier than people think. Now that creates tremendous opportunities for the oil and gas sector, those dislocations, because there'll be survivors, there'll be losers. Because the industry is not going away. We saw the numbers, give and take, whatever it is, those numbers are pretty real. They're pretty solid. And that's what most of the world doesn't realize. We're locked into a system that does not change very fast. It takes a long time to move a big supertanker, basically. That's where the developing world, I hate to use that term, Africa, Latin America, Asia, has a big advantage. They are not system embedded the way we are. We are system embedded. It's hard to be disruptive there. That's why I worry about, for you, the IT part. That example of that electric charging station for free for people is a big deal. That will begin to be applied in other ways to the transportation sector. It won't be long before it happens to gasoline. It really will not be. Because all gasoline is a simple production process. You grind it out and you get this stuff. It's not where the margins are. Any other questions? I have 5 minutes. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
What is the Chinese attitude towards energy and the environment?
Very, very fundamental to what we're talking about. What is the Chinese attitude towards the issues we're talking about? In my piece from 2014, we're 19 now, right? 14. I talk about 3 new elements in the oil market. One is China. The whole center of gravity has shifted to China in 2 respects. They're playing the old resource game aggressively, going into countries that acquire those physical assets. That's not where they're going to win. Where they're going to win is they're the biggest installers of solar power, biggest producers of solar equipment, biggest installers of windmills, biggest producer of windmills, and go down the line. That's where they're outpacing us, because they can do things we can't do. They say, our cities are polluted, we have to change what we're doing, and they can say, okay, we're going to do it. Now, they steal the technology from everybody else. They get a Japanese high-speed train and copy it and have the better one. But if you ever went to China in the mid-1990s, there were no trains that moved any more than 10 miles an hour, probably. Now the country is a web, a maze of high-speed trains that go 200 plus miles an hour. They're like flying in bed. They're so efficient. We can't do that. We're hindered because of our political system. Now, I'm not saying let's change our system, but they can do things we cannot do. And they bought into this big time. They're doing it in the cities they're building, how to build sustainable cities, transport systems around that. And they're building new cities with 1 million people, 2 million people every day. Every day they're doing it. It's mind-boggling how fast they're doing these things. So their attitude is, we're going to win on both fronts. We'll play the old resource nationalism game like the US did, and the British and the French, get those resources. Most countries don't like them coming in, but we're not going in. And they're paying lots of money to get in. We used to do the same thing in a different way. They're playing that game really well. But they're also saying, there's the other game. What they brought into, was what I wrote about 10 years ago, it's a clean technology race. They're way ahead. Based on our research and development, our ideas, they take it and they're sprinting like crazy. And where we are right now in the new technologies, I mean clean oil as well, and I mean clean coal as well. We're at 1.0 or 2.0. We're going to go to 3.0 and 4.0 and 5.0, like Microsoft terminology. And each one of those means a cleaner future, a better future, more jobs, more sustainable jobs in terms of business. You're staying in business and going forward.
Is there a difference in the Chinese perception of energy and the climate, the central government versus the man on the street?
The man on the street buys into it, totally. And talk about millennials. I spent 3 weeks in China end of September last year. I was with a group of people. I was old by about 30 years. In this group of 2,000 people, I felt kind of out of place. And they kept talking about how their generation was going to save the planet. I kept saying, well, I'm here too to help save the planet. They bought into it. They bought into it big time. They know there's a tremendous economic opportunity, but also they know what they're living in. You know, seeing polluted rivers impacts you very powerfully. And also, have you been to China recently? I don't have my phone with me right now. I'll borrow your phone. I'll take your phone. Whenever I go to a country, first day or two, I say, I'm going to go out where only little Chinese people eat. Terrible term, little Chinese people eat. So I wander into these areas of these cities where I'm the only Westerner there by, there's no one else but me. I wander to these shops to have lunch. Tiny little thing, about as big as that table. I've seen people eating it. It looks really good. So I go, I'll have to have that. So the guy comes over, he's saying to me, what do you want? Well, in Chinese, I can't answer. He pulls out his phone. He goes, says to the phone, I want to have that chicken with that. It translates to him in Chinese, and I get it. So I go to pay. I go in my pocket, pull out some money. What is that? That's money. They have on their phone, you know those little squares you see? They point to the wall and pay. No one has cash. They're living in a different world, and that's a secure system. Ours are always hacked into, for crying out loud. They're in shock when we get hacked into. They really are. There's a secure. I was struggling to pay these guys. All I had was money. They're going, where are you from? Like, I guess I don't know where I'm from. So they're into it. And these young kids, they know the opportunity. They really do know it. And you can feel it. You can sense it. And despite it being an authoritarian state, which it is, they seem very free. they dress nicer than I do. Well, I dress pretty badly, obviously. I dress old-fashioned. But these kids are dressed well. They're buying Nike shoes, all that kind of stuff. And they're into this future. They're there. They're there. Our Chinese company does the cathode materials. We have a factory in China, which I visited. State of the art, you can't believe. 15 Chinese people working there under the age of 30. And our company has usually important values like the environment, climate change, what we can do to help the problem. They bought into it big time. They're thrilled to be working there. They buy the values. And because it's important to what we invest in to have these values. And all these employees buy into it. They're dying to work for us. And there are a lot of companies like us. I guess I'm told to stop. Thank you very much.